Occupy Denver started with sleeping bags and blankets, but now more permanent structures are being built a stone's throw from the state capitol on Broadway.
It'd be good to have something to hide, sleep under instead of just out in the open.
The people at the occupation are students, the unemployed, and the homeless, angry that society is run, they say, by the wealthy.
1% wealthiest people in this country essentially control close to 50% of the resources. There's not a democratic distribution of wealth in this country.
They say they're in it for the long haul. Jerry Bell, News Radio 850 KOA.
They're unlawfully. Why let them stay?
They're on state property, but we don't have a jail to put them in, and we haven't been able to find a way that the district attorney will prosecute them. So, if they want to stamp their feet and they want to hold up signs and point out problems that they see in our country, this is what makes America, right?
Nothing unlawful about that, but camping out is.
We'd love them to leave every night by, let's say, 9 o'clock and come back every morning at 6:30 when the sun is coming up. I do worry. I will confess that I worry about the precedent. If suddenly we have a park where people can camp out whenever they want, why not the next park? And why not the park after that? And
so is there a plan? Is there a line in the sand date when they're going to have to be out of there, as far as you know?
Well, we have to figure out exactly how we're going to work the jurisdictional issues. But no, we haven't put a line in the sand yet. No. Again, there's not very many people there. I mean, I went down there this morning and looked at it. It's like, 8 tents or something, 10 tents. It's not. This is not a burgeoning metropolis of tents.
Tim Drago spearheaded the building of the Colorado Veterans Monument. He's concerned about the growth of the occupied Denver camp.
It's just snowballing. It's out of control.
Drago's looking down the road to November at Veterans Day activities.
It's a little hard to have a War Dead Honor Roll reading when you've got all sorts of other things going on and trash and litter that they have and people sleeping out, and it smells like a urinal.
According to his count, there are now 35 tents in the park where signs say no camping is allowed.
Occupy Denver is a ragtag group that's actually very organized. They have a cook station, a group of leaders, and a group that's printing out their buttons.
Well, my personal favorite is Lost a Job, Found an Occupation. We've also got All Together Now. I stand with the 99%. We are the 99%, and we are waking up.
Like many of the protesters, Wiley Shearer comes and goes from Occupy Denver, but she says they're making their point.
This sort of occupation has a long history as a specific type of political speech, and it has gotten attention in a way that those people just standing out with signs don't get the same amount of attention.
Many people already comply with what the governor wants, showing up during the day to protest, but there's a tent city that keeps growing with people not willing to leave.
Our governor is saying that we have to get out of here, even though a whole bunch of people here voted for him.
The hardcores who camp at night in violation of the law, they contend they have to be there 24/7.
Otherwise, it's not an occupation, it's a protest, a daily protest.
They feel some sort of confrontation with police is inevitable.
The police are going to be attempting to disrupt this peaceful assembly. That is the latest word from the police scanner. Repeat, this is a peaceful assembly. Lincoln Park is closed until further notice. Access to the park is by permit only. Persons must remove themselves and all property from the park immediately.
And now we're seeing police vehicles blocking off Lincoln at Colfax. You might be able to hear in the background this loudspeaker again telling people to leave the park. They're saying at 3:13 is when they're going to move in here.
Once you reach Colfax, please turn right and proceed east on Colfax.
Seeing some people right here at the last minute trying to pick up their tents. Now these officers are walking into the park right now.
Okay,
they're walking right toward me, and I am going to get out of the way because they look serious. These guys do have the face protection down. They do have batons, and it looks like now they are going in to the tent area, and they are having people put down their tents, or at least telling people that they need to do that. And we're going over ward to ward where they have a soup kitchen where they've been feeding people, feeding the homeless. One of these tents actually has a lot of food and supplies in it. And now they're going to go look inside. I'm right just 5 feet away from them. They're looking inside this one tent that has food and medical supplies in there, pulling the tent poles on this tent right now, and people are yelling at them that it's the wrong thing to do, that people need that food. The crowd is now shouting, "Shame, shame, shame," at these police officers as they take down these final 2 tents, and they are the last 2 tents here that are left standing in the park. They won't be left standing very much longer.
According to the city, police have spent $260,000 in overtime, the sheriff's department $150,000, and city departments like Public Works and Denver Health have each incurred about $5,000 in OT costs. Combined with a state patrol estimate of more than $350,000 in Occupy Denver-related costs, the tab for taxpayers is now more than $780,000.
Of the people of the city and county of Denver.
Police in riot gear moved in just before midnight. Some demonstrators setting their tents on fire as they were moved out, blaming the mayor for taking away their right to protest.
It's the mayor who makes this, so this is all on Michael Hancock.
4 occupiers arrested, 2 of those now charged with arson.
Mayor Hancock says Occupy protesters gave the city no choice.
We did everything we can to request very diplomatically for those structures to come down, and they refused.
And he tells 850 KOA the removal of the tents and structures doesn't shut down the right to protest.
We simply have offered the park and the sidewalk areas, as long as they don't impede people's progress to move, pedestrian progress, to protest and to be there.
Occupy Denver protesters claim Denver cops have used selective enforcement of laws and ordinances in an attempt to shut down their protest. But a U.S. District Court judge says the protesters have not presented compelling evidence to support that claim. He has refused to issue an injunction against the city and says without evidence to back their claims, the Occupy lawsuit against police will fail.
Texting from car to car, officers vent about working extra hours, and they make some snide comments about the protesters, such as, "I like how almost all the demonstrators that occupy the sidewalk at night are just bums." In 39 pages of text transcripts, most of the communications deal with positioning and intel. Only a handful offer editorial comment.
Move back! Move back! This is the Denver Police Department. Move back!
It's not us versus the cops, but they obviously have a choice, and it's too bad that this mayor has decided to use the police force against its own citizens.
The protesters say this time they will not erect any tents or build any shanties like the ones they burned when the police moved in on Monday.
They just made us leave that night so they could destroy all our houses, and then the next day they told us we could come back and sleep on the sidewalk.
Last night, a group of the occupiers shouted down the mayor at a vigil for the homeless, disrupting the service. Jim Hooley, News Radio 850, KOA.